Greetings, family and friends. Welcome to my channel. My name is Silla, and it's a great pleasure to have you on board on my channel. I'm sitting in a library somewhere in London, and I've got a message today, and I think oftentimes we as people, as Africans in the diaspora, as Africans living on the continent, we tend to dismiss actual involvement in political matters, particularly for women. I think we accept it more if men are involved in politics. And there's always a sort of a negative connotation if a person wants to get involved in political discourse and action. If you want to jump in on board and start being really putting yourself forward, start being really participative, I should have said, putting yourself forward insofar as getting involved in politics is concerned, we start being really negative. On the whole, I think we view such people with suspicion. We think they're out to enrich themselves, and that they just want something in there that would benefit them rather than being of service to the nation and the public and benefiting their communities as a whole. And in many instances, we found that this is true. That is what people do. They get in there, they're tainted by corruption, because politics is a very, very, very dirty game. They're tainted by corruption, they're tainted by the system not being as it should be, and the way that the system works out, it makes it easy for corruption to happen because everything is in complete chaos. So when everything is in complete chaos, if you want to do wrong things, it all gets hidden in the mess. And people generally don't care to correct things, they generally don't care to make sure that what it is that they're doing should be the right thing. And the reason that they don't worry about putting things straight sometimes is because they can't do it on their own, and other times, most often, is because they have a hidden agenda themselves. So once they fall into the whole political murky waters, they just kind of keep stirring the pot and make sure it becomes even more muddled, so nothing ever gets straightened. I think for women in particular, they make things worse for women because because of the way the society is structured, and women aren't really respected in society, regardless of what they do or not do. Women aren't really respected. They just make things worse for you because they start referring to anything and everything that's got to do with your personal life, whether relevant or not. They start referring to any aspect of your life willy-nilly without even kind of caring about it. They'll talk about you, they'll tear you apart, they'll make references to your social status, all of those things. So it really takes the very strong-minded, or not so much the strong-minded, but also the very determined to get into it. And I think that because society is so male-dominated, what it is, sometimes it does happen that the women have been caught up in this, and then it becomes a matter of trying to please men here, there, or the other, and forgetting about the real purpose of why it is they want to be in the political arena. So, that's a very long preamble to say I would like to get into politics, proper. I've been on the sidelines, I've discussed it a lot, I've been talking on social media for well over a decade. I've talked about every wrong, every this, every that, every injustice, and being an activist and continue to be an activist. I've talked about it till the cows come home, not a lot has changed. So I feel that at this point in time, I've got nothing to lose. I realise how dirty it is, and well, perhaps I don't quite realise how dirty it is, but I know it's something that's really, really, totally horrible thing to be involved in and to try and get into. But by the same token, I just feel as though I cannot live the rest of my life without actually being able to do something, at least for the area where I can most influence, or the communities that I can most impact on. Together with others, of course. Nobody can do anything on their own. And I realise there's a lot of dodginess going on, and a lot of negativity that goes with it. And I've outlined all of those and I've talked about them. But I do think that now is the time that it's worth a try. It's worth a try. I don't want to kind of like go on to the next stage of life and think to myself, oh, I could have been involved in this, or I could have done that, or I could have done the other, or whatever. I think for what it's worth, for myself as a middle-aged woman and others like me who have been involved on the sidelines and want to get into things, if we don't make the move, we probably will never make the move after this particular period in life. And I hear all the negativity, and we've been living the negativity for the best part of 40 years, haven't we? And I think we do need some differences within our political arena. I think we do need some voices that have not been in there and that are not continually known for corruption and all sorts of other things that have gone wrong over the years. I think that we do need that, and I think that we need fresh thinking and perhaps a lot of other people to come on board and see how we can progress things. I'm very much aware that over the last decade or so, a lot of young people have gone into politics one way or the other. And they've literally just joined the bandwagon of corruption and just sort of propelling themselves to the point where they want to get onto. And I feel that at the end of a career, if you like, I've got nothing to lose. I really, and other people like me have nothing to lose. And hopefully, having lived a life of being able to stand on my own 2 feet and being able to support myself all my life, there probably is very little that I could want. I mean, I'm a human being, do you know what I mean? I'm just sort of trying to be realistic. There's probably very little I want. There's probably I'm just trying to kind of be objective and think a little bit about where it is that people go wrong, where it is that some people who've had good intentions in the past get into politics and immediately they get sort of mixed up in corruption and all sorts of other things. And I think it's worth thinking about these things in advance and finding ways of not getting mired in the kind of deep nastiness and corruption that goes on within African politics. And here I'm going to be quite specific and say I'm talking about Sierra Leonean politics. And people say, well, nobody ever succeeds. unless they get into that murky, dirty sort of political way of doing things. But because we've never had people that would just take a step back and take a stand publicly, perhaps they do it in private, I don't know, but because we've never had people that come out publicly and say, no, I'm not going to do business that way, or I'm not going to conduct myself in that way, it's difficult to actually know whether there have been people who've stood their ground and stood up for the right things, you know. And I know internationally we've got a reputation, African countries have got a reputation to say that if you want to get rich, get into politics. And we've got to change that narrative. We've got to try and get people into political positions that really want to work for their communities, really want to make a difference in the lives, in the everyday lives of ordinary people in their own countries. And that's where I'm going to leave it for today. But I'm open to being able to get involved. I'm reaching out and talking to people at the moment. I'm trying to see where I can make a difference and where I can get in somewhere. I know it's a very, very difficult and hard journey, and I just want people who have positive vibes to just send it my way, and let's keep the flame burning, and let's all motivate one another, and let's all work together, or at least start the beginnings of an African continent and our own African countries that are different and that are portrayed differently to the world. And it's not just this huge mess in most places of corruption and backing the wrong things, clearly backing things that are wrong, and that they are not beneficial to the general population. So that's all I'm going to say. Thank you for listening. If you are, do please subscribe to my channel. It would be lovely to have you on board. And have a good rest of the week, and cheers.